Yes, this is a last day of September live stream at a very unusual time. We are going to just touch bases and sort of reinvigorate what I have lost through a vacation. You know, when we go on vacations, we usually try to get refreshed and we want to get back to normal. In this case, for me, it's always the worry in the back of my mind is I'm gone for like a month, 4 weeks. I was away, and I was afraid that when I came back, the fishing would be a disaster. There's a lot of things to consider when going away on vacation, and in this particular case, you know that it's important to get things right. And based on experience in past years when there were disasters, I wasn't sure what was going to happen, but I inaugurated a few things, or I set in motion a few aspects, or shall we say techniques to augment any possible disasters. So that's what happened this year, and I'm happy to say overall the room looks pretty good. So let me just take you through the room. We're going to just take a look at it, and I'm going to point out some of the things when I got back happened. Now, I couldn't live stream right away. I did record some, and that video will be put out this week. However, when I got back, I got sick, and so another week went by when I was in bed, and I couldn't do much of anything, and I was miserable. This usually happens when people travel. They're going about, they're going to places, they get on planes, we're around each other, and next thing you know, we're all sick. So it wasn't a surprise. It seems to happen that way a lot of times, but this time there was no exception, and so I found myself laid up another week on top of that. So here we are. I'm feeling much better. I'm back to normal, and I hope to have some live streams going on a regular basis. But at this time, I said, you know, instead of putting it off even further, I'm just going to have to let you all watch from, shall we say, the replay. You know, maybe you're going to catch this on the replay, because the truth is I don't know who's available on a Tuesday, and it's 2:15 on a Tuesday afternoon. But we will have some evening live streams when people get home from work and the like, and that will be something coming up. For the purpose of seeing the fish room, let's take a look. The tanks on this side, and I'm going to explain some of the things I did while I was away. I left the Plecos in here. I didn't move them to my grow-out center to be cared for. I went ahead and trusted that they would be okay, and they did. They did very well. There was no issues with these fish. But these fish too, nothing really happened. It's a colony of red neon pseudomugil blue eyes, gorgeous little group, and I put maybe a pleco or two in this tank so that if there was any food that would be extra because they didn't eat fast enough. Now I had somebody come in and feed the fish, and they put food in each tank. So what I did was, that really helps on vacations, is to go ahead and put food next to each tank. So I had a small vial of food sitting here with a scoop, and that was the kind of food that they get, and that person who was feeding the fish only fed the fish 3 times a week. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, while I was away. And I didn't want them feeding any more than that. I wanted the fish to be hungry. I wanted them to gobble up the food when they saw it. And this was important because it's better to underfeed your fish while you're away on vacation. And in some cases, I've had survivals without any problem of fish that didn't get fed at all for the whole time I was away. Up above, I had some tanks here. There were 4, and I took away 2 and gave them to the grow out. So my business partner at aquarium.biz took care of them. But then you notice there were 2 tanks that were left here, and they got quite a bit of mucky algae, and it looks like they're going to need some cleanup. So that'll happen maybe today or tomorrow. So now, one thing I noticed when I walked in, these tanks, which do not have a lid, evaporated tremendously. 4 weeks later, they were at half level, which was okay because in this particular case, the fish could stand that. Also, there's no heaters out. This is a light fixture, not a heater, and so it is a submersible light fixture that comes on, or it can be on and off. I have this brighter light right now. It's way too bright, but I do have that one for the time being to augment, but I can turn that one off, and this is what it looks like with just the light in that tank. And as you can see, I have this brighter light only for the plants for right now. I'm going to reduce the wattage. This is a 30 watt, and I want to reduce it to a 10 watt. Because a 10 watt is like this, and it's still plenty bright. So here we go. The water level was very low, but there was no problem. These fish have a tendency to jump when the lights come on. So even when the automatic lights come on, the pseudomugil fish actually jump when they're startled, and so you'll find them on the floor. So the fact that the water level was lower, it didn't hurt a bit. In fact, it probably saved them. Also in the fish room, the other tanks were emptied, the ones up high, because the person carrying while I was away would not have it easy to get up to, and so I just removed all fish from this tank, and this 40-gallon up here. So we're gonna, right now the lights are off. Okay, so we're going to get those back up and running. Hey, Red Laser, good to see you. Now these fish did very well. The water in this tank did not drop, but maybe a small bit, because it was pretty much closed up tight, and there was no need. So water levels are interesting. I didn't anticipate that, but it's true. With no lid, you're going to expect high losses of water, and it just showed to me that as I'm adding it all the time, I don't realize how much I'm adding. So I need to really concentrate on that. So it also tells me, for example, in this tank over here, the water can get hard if I'm just refilling all the time. So I need to do water changes completely over here. Later down the road, I'm going to make some lids for these rimless tanks. These two rimless tanks are a little more difficult to make a lid for, but I'm going to do that, and I have some ideas and already some brackets that I'm going to show you in a future video. I think it's time to start focusing on breeding some of these red neons, so I'm going to start pulling the mops and seeing if I can get some fry. While I was away, I took this culture over to our friend Gary. Thank you, Gary, so much. I know you watch the live streams when you can, and this particular group was amazing because, believe it or not, it's the Daphnia that seemed to persist in my fish room, and I took him over there just so he could see if he could keep them alive until I got back. I told him something very important, and I said, look, if they die out, don't throw the water out. If they die out, just die off. You see none, just wait. And sure enough, yeah, thank you, Red Laser. You know, it was a missed opportunity. I feel very bad I wasn't at the expo because I had to take care of my aged parents for a couple weeks while my sister was away. I had to go to California. It wasn't really a vacation. I say it's a vacation, but it was taking care of some people who are family, and I had to do it while the dates were given me, and so I didn't have a choice but to miss the expo. But I saw some videos, even saw all the friends I knew on some of those videos, so it was kind of a loss for me. Anyway, so sure enough, the Daphnia died off, and he said, I remember what you said, and I didn't throw it out. And sure enough, they came bouncing back, because when these guys die off, it really means that they are actually laying eggs, I guess, and then they come back as the eggs hatch. In this little tank behind, it was mostly a tank I just have some plants growing and some mono shrimp. But I did put a few fry in here and had this tank fed with their little vial was just the powdered food in the little container you see there. It's micro food, Sarah Micro blend. And so they're doing well. It looks like a white cloud minnow and a few, I think in the back, there are a few red neons, but they don't grow too fast. So interestingly, on tanks that I did nothing with, in other words, I know I can get more Daphnia. I put a green stripe, a tape of green stripe on these tanks, which means to the caretaker of my tanks, do not do anything. That's what that means. Don't touch. It's just no fish in this tank. And so I was so surprised that after 4 weeks of doing absolutely nothing, the tanks are still full of Daphnia. Amazing. They could just be so full of Daphnia and get no care at all. No green water, nothing. Now I did add green water since I got back, and they doubled in their they doubled in quantity. But look at this. I mean, the tanks don't look that bad, and they're full of Daphnia. I can just swirl around a net and pull out all kinds of Daphnia. Just amazing. So I am going to be selling pairs of the Curviceps, and I'll be putting those on our website or on Kijiji. So watch out for those if you're interested in a male and female Curviceps. I have several pairs here. And those, everybody else did very well. These are the male albino cherry barbs. They did well. Plecos did okay. Now, I didn't find hardly any deaths. Now, there were some fish that I removed just to be on the safe side. And as you can see in the back there, this is a honeycomb Pleco ancestris, also known as L519. And it's a little one back there, but the trio is now put back into, I see a tail there. They were out earlier when I turned the light on. They went skedaddling. So they took off, but there's a, you can see the one back there, and there's a male and two females, and they were breeding quite well. I did have some ditterfish in here, so I may put some ditterfish back in here. That'll keep them right. I can always do that. I have all kinds of ditterfish I can use. These penguin tetras are good. They hang out at the top. They don't go to the bottom. They wouldn't bother any plecos. That's an example. Yeah. The barbs, I don't know. They go around picking. They might pick at some fry if they come out. Sometimes the fry get out before, so we'll try to pick some dithers that are good. And here is the most interesting thing. Before I left, in this tank I put a bunch of Danios. These are the Chopre Danios. Yeah, hi Ryan. Yes, I was in California caring for my parents while my sister was in Europe. And so I had to go out there and spend time with mom and dad. Dad's 86, mom's 81, broke both hips. So there's a lot of care involved, caring for them. They're very limited now. But I'm back, and I am here. And we're getting back on track. I'm going to talk about some of the things that we're going to be doing in the fish room very soon. These Danios I put in here, and it was like, wow, you know, maybe they'll do something. And so I put them in there for 5 days. I put them in this tank for 5 days, and then I took them out and put them in this 10-gallon right here. When I got back from vacation, there was one fry in this tank. One fry. Just one. Then there was none over here. So was it a matter of just throwing them in a tank and hoping to get a big batch? Didn't work that way. But what I found was so interesting because I said, well, let me try it again. So when I got back, I just took them out of this 10-gallon and threw them back in this tank. And I said, let's just do it again. So they were here for 5 days, and they were actually very, very busy. They were active. They were chasing each other. It looked like there was a lot of spawning behavior. And I said, oh, they're doing it. They're doing it good. So then I took them out, put them over here, and that's why they're here right now, the second time. And guess what? In this tank, I've got one fry. One fry. It's right there. See it, right there. It's towards the back. You might not be able to see it. Still quite small. I don't know if it's eating baby brine shrimp. I'm going to feed it vinegar eels a time or two more. I put some baby brine shrimp in there just to see. But it's just one fry. However, I have some good news to report. These were the setup tanks where we put in the false bottom. We put the plants. We put false bottoms. Each time I do that, I've gotten one fry. But the tank that they were sitting in for, I don't know, 4 weeks, and then I just pulled them out when I got home and put them in the breeding tank. Lo and behold, 3 days later, the tank is full of fry. Look at them all. And there's no false bottom. It's just sand on the bottom, a couple of ornaments, and some floating plants. I don't get it. Could it be that they're spawning in the floating plants more than anything else? I don't get it. It's just, yeah, you're right. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I was like, when I take egg scatterers out of a tank, I like to not put something in it right away. I always like to leave it for 3 or 4 days to see if there's any hatching. And I do that because I know better. I know sometimes they're just always breeding and that they're just always eating their fry. But look at this. I've counted more than 10 at times. So this is a nice batch because I was tempted to give these chopri away. Danio chopri actually, but chopri. I was tempted to give them away, and I said, I like these fish, and I really would like to have more of them. I'd like to, increase their numbers. So I decided I would give it one last shot. So that's what I've been doing here, is giving them another shot. And now this is very good news. I'm going to work with these guys and get them grown up, and then I'll have a nice group. Maybe these will breed as well. Yeah, so that's a good point. Now, also on the agenda is I have this new species in my fish room. Maybe you've seen one of these before. You like this fish? I've always wanted to try to breed a bubble nester, so I thought I would do it. But here's the question. This fish is a female. Hi, Grammy. Yes, I'm earlier in the day. It's kind of a surprise deal. For the first time, you get live instead of the replay. This is a female, and so I've been conditioning her up on Daphnia and other live foods, and she really likes this better food from Northfin. This is also, they gobble this up. This is a super beta. Super beta food, and I feed that also to them, so they get a very mixed diet. And then the male died. I got this pair from someone at the expo. At the end of the expo was a reptile expo, and they had betas there. And I just saw this pair. It was the best pair they had. And I thought, wow, what a female. This is gorgeous. Then I ran across, after the male died, don't know why he died. He actually just disappeared. I never found the body. I found this guy. This male, got him from Tails and Scales. He had a nice, beautiful, he had super character. Comes up to the front of the glass. He has a little more white. He's got so many colors on him. It's just tremendous. He looks very similar in shape to the one I have. You can see them both here. And I'm anxious to give it a try. So, how do you breed bettas? Well, first thing I do is I talk to the experts. So I've got some amazing things to do with these fish to get them to breed based on our friend Gary on this channel. Thank you, Gary, for your tips. And thank you, Gary, for watching over my Daphnia while I was away. Unbelievable. There's just a few things he uses, and I'm going to do a video complete on them as I breed these, and we're going to show that video. So bear in mind that's coming up down the road as well. But I really think these two guys are going to be a nice match. But I can't believe how beautiful females are nowadays. They're just like, when you look at them, I can't tell that was, well, I can tell from her body shape. And she really seems to be, I don't know if you can focus on there. Here we go. She really seems to be inactive, a very nice female. I am really looking forward to getting bettas that look like this. Wow, those are nice. So that is a breeding project coming up soon, and we're going to give that a try. They're ready now, but I just have to fit them into the schedule. And what we did was took away all those tanks I had here and some up here. So there's just one left, and there's just right now it's just junky because, well, when I went away, I just cleaned up the room so you could walk through it without somebody hurting himself. This tank is empty. It used to have the Synodontis. So we're going to get the Synodontis to come back. All I have to do is pick them up one day, get them going again. Let me see if I can put a light on. There we go. There we go. The Synodontis tank is empty. We'll get that going again. And what we've decided is this fish room is going to shift gears a little bit. We're going to put in some 20 gallons, 20 longs. So here, and there's one up here. These 4 tanks are now gone. And thank you, Grummy. That's interesting to read your post about the different colors possible. That'd be nice. We'll see. This is a 20-gallon long up here. There's not a lot of space up at the top, which is, I think, okay. But what next project will probably happen either later this afternoon, tomorrow, is I want to get a drain, fixed drain, a siphon drain into this tank. So right now it's empty, but we have, I go over out that hole right there, go over the back, down with a PVC, I can attach to that drain right there. That's part of the drain system. So all I have to do is put a valve right here, and then I can just open it up, close it, and change water. So even though it's way up here, I want to put a colony of Plecos that I can just kind of leave there and not be going to worry about them too much. And we'll just, yeah, we'll just have Plecos. Here's an example of using a pretty bright light instead of shining it on the tank just to grow algae. I'm using it as an indirect light. It's only 10 watts, and yet it's plenty of light, and I don't think Plecos need a lot of light. I really think it would be nice. So this way up here, I'm just going to be able to change their water, feed them. That's it. I don't expect a whole lot to go on in that tank once we get the. I have choices of which colony to bring over. This tank here too will have Plecos in it mainly, and maybe hold some of these other fish. And then one more shelf here is going to get another 20-gallon long if possible, and we're going to put in another Plecos. Now what plecos will we be breeding? Well, we're going to give it a try. We have some young colonies that have been, they're about a year old and or so, well, more than a year old. And these plecos we've been just growing out. So every year, our business, aquarium.biz, this is our business card. So you see aquarium.biz, and we have our signature species, the black ram, which we breed a lot of. Right now we have hundreds and hundreds of rams, black, German blue, gold, and electric blue. So we have a lot of fish. And that's on top of all the epistogrammas. We have quite a few different species of epistogrammas, but you all know about that. You can find them featured on this website, and that's great. But what we do every year is we end up getting some plecos or some fish that we know is going to be a future. So in other words, we buy them for this year, and we just hang on to them, grow them out, and then worry about that being a new feature, a new species for next year. And the 134s that you asked about, the L134s, we have enough for about 2 colonies of L134s, but they're young and they're not breeding yet. There are some adult ones and they haven't been breeding yet. So those I've had over the years, and they tend to be, you'll get a spawn here and there, but there's no guarantee you'll get a regular spawn. The plecos that we have available, which are really nice looking, to me, they're just fantastic. They're the 399s, L399, the elegant zebras with their tails, and the color is, we have a lot of those available. We have 401s, L401s available, and we have several others. The ones I have a choice to bring over here are the L471. I like them. They're a dwarf speckled or spotted pleco. I want to breed some of those. That would be really nice. Queen Arabesque, the L260. Those fish, we have a nice young colony. I think they're almost old enough to start breeding, so it's time to get them set up in their permanent location and see if we can't breed some of those. So we might use these for the Queen Arabesque, the 471s, and also I might have a third one. We're going to try to breed more of the Ancestris. We have the 519s, the honeycomb Ancestris. Those are super nice. I really like those. And we've got a good number of the batches that I had just prior to the trip to California is doing very well. We haven't lost hardly any, and so they're growing very, very well. So they're not a large pleco. They're not as big as the bushy nose. They're not as big, but they have an interesting pattern to them, so they're really nice. I have a little bit of a residual cough sometimes, and so that's what I have. Yeah, the 519s. We have them, and we're growing them. We'll keep some of those fry for ourselves to grow up, and we'll probably try to sell a few and just keep growing as we can. But they do very well. I have 1 male and 2 females, and of course a couple of juveniles in the tank, because there's plenty of space. But I found that they do better, at least if I can pull the fry out and put them in a specialized pleco over the back, what do you call it, breeder box, because I really target their diet. So I give them protein granules, but I also make sure they always have zucchini to munch on throughout the day. So they clean up their zucchini. I give them a small piece every day, fresh piece every day, and with that, the zucchini going through their system, and then some protein, They seem to be growing at a phenomenal rate. I also, as a tip, and you heard it here, those kind of fish really need to have an extra, just a breeder box isn't going to do it. You need to have an extra air stone, and they love the flow. So it really helps. And I think the combination of breeder box, which gives them a constant fresh water based on the tank that they're attached to, you'll always have fresh water flowing through. You have the flow of the air bubbles, and then you have two kinds of food, some protein and some zucchini, which is important for roughage. You'll have no issues. So that's what seems to work very well for me. What else? Those are some of the projects. I always talked about bringing the water over here over to the sink area. I might do that this week. These are just things that are kind of crazy projects that need to be done. I'll try to video record what I can, and then put these out as videos instead of live streams, because when I'm on live streaming, we're talking and we're chatting and we're doing all these things, and we can't seem to actually, get the work done. I can't stop what I'm doing and get the work done. Let's see, what else did I want to mention? Besides the Daphnia down below, this is most interesting. I was really shocked. I was really surprised. I thought this would die out for sure. So what I did was I said, let me see. I mean, I can get green water and replace this and get it going again, no problem. But I decided I would try something. And so what I did was I had this open a little bit, and I told my caretaker once a week, put in one squirt, one or two squirts, whatever I mentioned. And this is what I came back to, green water. So in other words, they didn't get a water change, but at least it kept them alive. And so it was easy when I got back to just do a water change and then set them off again. And green water is still alive, so I don't have to go get some and restart the culture. That was a surprise to me. It really worked. So here we go. I'm going to, I guess, cut it off for now. It was a nice live stream to be back with you folks, and there'll be other things going on. And if you give me the thumbs up, I really appreciate it. If you are an individual who is watching this on the replay, please go ahead and make a comment. Say you're on the replay and down below, because every comment kind of counts. It really helps the channel out. So let's see. Rob is asking. Oh, Rob's here with us too. Great. Yeah, a lot of people want them. Yeah. The 75th anniversary HDAS. That's the Hamilton and Burlington on November 16th. Yes, I will be there. I've already paid my ticket. I was the first person to actually buy the ticket. As a member of KOAC, I was interested in helping out because it's also the KOAC convention that they're hosting. That weekend I'll be there supporting the Hamilton folks, and I'll be there. So we'll see you there. It would be awesome to see the activities and hear the speakers. It's a special weekend, convention weekend, and a what they call anniversary bash for Hamilton. And so we'll be talking that up more and more. It is located in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And so we'll see you there, Red Laser. Also, I don't know exactly what they'll have me do, but I volunteered to assist in some areas. So we'll see about that as well. I did, before I go, I did want to mention that besides the Danios, I did white cloud minnows. Before I left, I put one tank with white clouds. 3 days later, I moved them to a second tank, and then just before I left, I moved them out. And then I had my caretaker just take powdered food, the little fine stuff, and put in a quarter of a scoop in each tank every day. And I figured if some Danios and some white clouds can't live on that growing up, I don't know what else to do. But it was just an experiment to see if it could be done, and it worked. I've got another 10 golden white clouds coming up. Of course, they're an easy fish. They're an easy fish. Now, what I should do is remove those and take the group and put them back in there. Just want to increase my numbers of those. Yeah. I also am dying to start breeding some Odessas because my Odessas are now old enough. Of the last ones I have, I'm ready to start breeding them again. So we're going to get them back in the cycle. I think we're going to simplify a lot of species in the fish room, and we're going to try to keep just the species that are good. People want them. They have good. They're good. They're good demand for those. And there are some fish that we're just going to let go. Like, for example, I mean, I was able to breed the penguin tetras. Yeah, okay. I raised about a 10 or so of the penguin tetras, but you know, they're so cheap. You can buy them for $3 each at the store. That's retail price. So in the wholesale, or you know, nobody is going to pay much for penguin tetras. So it doesn't make any sense to have those around breeding them. But like, for example, these Plecos, oh no, they're quite a bit more money. So they're valuable and they're worth breeding. So we're going to focus on those species that are worth breeding and take it from there. I don't think I'm going to bother with tiger barbs much anymore. I've kind of given up on them because they're just such a pain in the, if you know what I mean. They just are so aggressive to each other. They're always killing each other off until finally there's nobody. And they're cheap fish. You can buy them in the store, very, very reasonable. So there's no point. I was hoping to be able to breed some really nice looking ones. That is the green ones with the red. That was always my goal. But I don't have the tank capacity to do some breeding projects like that. That is selective breeding. I wish I had more. Oh, Stubbs won't be sad. You know, I'll tell you why. Because we're going to focus on the Dickensia species or genus. We've got mascara barbs and we've got the new Aurelius barbs that we're going to be focusing on the days to come. So those are nicer fish, and we will do our best to get those barbs up and breeding. So they should be nice one day. And I think what it's going to take is, they're old enough now. There's no question in my mind, but I haven't seen a lot of maturing activity, but I haven't been giving them as much attention as they should. I believe that they're going to need bigger water changes, and they're going to need some actual breeding substrate, or shall we say some spawning mops, or in my case, I'll use this right behind me is all the best stuff here is this natural right here. This is good stuff. Where is our little fish? Where is he? Okay, there he is. Going across the center right now, right above the airline at the surface. You see him? Yeah, he's just one. Now, what I do in a case like this, when there's only one fry, if there's just one fry in here, I will take that fry out and move him in with some fry that are maybe the same size or won't be bothered. Like, I could put him in here with these other 10, and he'll be smaller, but he won't be eaten by them, and the size difference is not so bad. And I can reuse this tank for breeding another batch of something, maybe the Odessas. So we'll see. So thank you very much, everyone. It was a pleasure to be back on track. I feel great that I was able to go live, even though it's at a time when I find myself to be very exhausted and tired by Friday night. I don't know how you feel, but it takes a lot for me to get going and to have a live stream when, I've got a headache, and things like that come up, and it's very tough. But we'll find some evening, and maybe we'll try different times when we can. If you're able to watch on the live or replay, then please do. thank you so much for the questions and all of you for joining. And I hope you enjoy this edition of FishEZ. And don't forget that we have a website, aquarium.biz. I will be focusing more time on this website. And if you're wondering, how do I know? I know that because after today, I will no longer be involved in some club matters. I've stepped aside because I want to focus on this website and I need that time. So yes, I'm going to actually be improving the website, and we're going to be actually doing some awesome discounts on the website. And if you buy through the website, we're going to offer some discounts that you will get special codes for only on these videos. And those videos will be special because it gives you a chance to get something for a lot less than maybe you would just get normally, like retail price. No, we'll give you a discount because you're the members that have supported the team. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and or in the case of those in the UK, have a good evening, and we'll talk to you another time. Thank you, and good day. Don't forget, I always forget not to say this. Whatever you do, take care of your fish, enjoy yourselves, and keep it real.